And today's webinar is being recorded and will be posted on the Stanford Health Library webpage under recorded lectures, and also will be on the Stanford Health Library YouTube channel. You'll also receive an email after the session with a link to the recording. If you have any questions during the webinar, please feel free to add them to the Q&A chat box located at the bottom of your screen, and we'll review those during the Q&A portion at the end. Now I have the pleasure of introducing my colleague, Shirley Siu, who is today's presenter. Shirley Siu is a registered dietitian nutritionist and a board-certified specialist in obesity and weight management. As a dedicated member of their multidisciplinary team at Stanford Lifestyle Weight Management Center for the past 6 years, Shirley has provided personalized counseling to a diverse range of patients. Her expertise lies in developing tailored strategies that promote health and wellness, emphasizing individualized lifestyle modifications and practical nutrition plans that empower patients to achieve their goals. So for part 2 of Meal Planning Magic, Shirley will help you navigate grocery shopping from store to kitchen while staying on a budget and deep diving into home delivery meals. Now, without further ado, here's Shirley.
Hello. Thank you for the introduction, Emily, and welcome back for those who joined us for our last Nourish to Flourish Part 1. And if you missed it, be sure to go catch the recorded webinar. But today we are going to go a little bit deeper into meal planning to help give you the confidence you need to prepare balanced meals at home. We're going to explore organizing your kitchen, navigating the store, budget shopping, and then also home delivery meal options. Before I get started, I'd like to ask those of you who are able to take a poll, which of these everyday home cooking challenges do you need help with? Using your phone or your mobile device, you can scan the QR code or you can join by web. It'll take a few minutes for that. Results are coming in. Oh. The results are we're pretty evenly distributed, but leans more towards the first few, figuring out what to cook with what I already have and navigating. Give me another minute and then we can stop the poll and can move on. Navigating grocery store without overspending. That's right now has the most of the responses. So perfect. With that, our objectives today is to talk about navigating the store, including budget saving measures, organizing your kitchen in a way that will make meal cooking at home and meal planning much easier, a little bit on smart substitutes on recipes, classic recipes or new favorites, and also about home delivery meals. So when it comes to navigating grocery store nowadays, I feel like it takes a special skill set. Store layouts are designed to entice you to buy more. As soon as you step into the store, the visuals are intended to catch your attention. You have end caps, there's the smell of baked goods and prepared foods oftentimes. The goal is to guide you towards certain purchases. Additionally, even where product placements are, eyeline levels of products are, vendors pay premium for those positions. So learning the floor plan to your favorite stores is the very practical skill set that you can take with you on any grocery shopping trip. You probably have heard of this shopping the perimeter, which for most stores still applies. Generally, the goods such as produce, meat, fish, dairy, they tend to be located in the perimeter. But sometimes some stores, they can reorganize sometimes. I know with, for example, Trader Joe's tend to move their items around oftentimes. So for the stores who do have an in-store app, that one trick is some of them will actually tell you the location of items, right? So that will help you reduce the amount of walking around, which then leads to limiting impulse buys, right? Because those end caps and the food samples are located in areas where, as you walk through the store looking for items to get you to make these purchases that may not be on your list. What's also additionally helpful when you're going into a store to make purchases is to not shop hungry, which you probably have heard before. I know it's not always controllable depending on the time of day or the time that you have to do this errand. But quick thing to do is drinking a beverage, drinking your water, grab that, put it with you in your shopping cart. So that helps you have something in case you're thirsty, and to even if you are hungry, they can help with that. Additionally, to help limit impulse buys and the 3 Ps that Gina talked about last time, you may have had brought a list, hopefully building your recipes from the list. And you can also build your list using either just paper and pen, sticky notes, but of course there are apps that will help you do that. Store apps will allow you to create a list, and as you're adding items to the list, the total cost of the items at a particular store you can also see. So if you're trying to stick to a certain budget, for example, if money's tight and groceries are expensive, that can be really helpful to see what purchases you're able to make this particular trip that you must have. And last but not least, if you don't have a lot of time, but also if you do struggle from impulse buys and you want to avoid bringing home more snack foods than you need, you can have a list to pick up and do pickup only, where even though you're taking part of the grocery shopping trip and keeping yourself from being inside that store. So many options that you can do. Additionally, so I mentioned earlier, creating a list in the store app so you can see the preview, the bill total. So perhaps sticking to your budget, what that adds up to be. Costs of items vary depending on the time of year, oftentimes. And if you have like a relatively strict budget, the higher cost items can be lower cost at certain times, right? Seasonal promotions. So for any more staples that you're able to keep and stock up on, it can be helpful to spread those out, right? Buy flour for use during times when baking is particular, spices which are high costs. During certain times of the year, they tend to be lower costs. And of course, buying staples in bulk from warehouse, wholesale stores whenever possible, especially if you have a family. But even if you don't, there are staples. If you have the room for it in your household, it will save you so much money with cost per unit. Significant cost savings. So definitely, if you are trying to save money, it's worthwhile to shop at a couple of different stores. That's what I do personally, certain staples, one store, and then on 1 or 2 grocery stores for the other. It sounds like it's a little bit more complicated, but in reality is you're going to buy your weekly perishables from 1 or 2 specific stores, and you make less frequent purchases from those bulk warehouse stores. But be sure to compare the price per unit between products, and it is required labeling, even though the print can be small, for them to post whenever there's an item on sale, the cost per unit, say, for instance, something, a pound of something, they sell something in 1 pound, and they would have to list this item by ounce next to, and you're wondering which one is cheaper. So do take a closer look, put on the reading glasses if you need them, like myself, to take a closer look at that price tag on the shelf, at the price per unit if you're trying to decide between two very similar products, and one seems cheaper, and you can immediately tell per single unit what the actual cost is. Additionally, there are some really fabulous resources, but first and foremost, avoiding food waste is a priority that is as the resources oftentimes are stretched these days. Knowing when avoiding and reducing food waste starts from knowing when foods are still good for use, right? In this website here, the FDA has more information about food product dating, but you may have heard of this already, but oftentimes the sell by and use by data, if a product, an item in your pantry at the store is past that, it does not mean that it is no longer good or spoiled. So you do have to, you can take a look at it, and most of the time that's when some of those goods are marked, seasonal or on sale, where it does not mean that they're bad. There's a great app resource called Too Good To Go. So if you are struggling at home to pay for food for the household and you don't have other resources, this one gathers from grocery stores and even restaurants, where you can look by location, called Too Good To Go there. You can install that app. It's a free app. Of course, you have to sign up, where you can look from day to day things that are significantly cost, like bakery, where they are selling, the day of breads or certain groceries. Subscription services like the Misfits Market and Perfect Foods are offer the less than perfect, but it's really surplus goods, right? I've tried Imperfect Foods myself, back when I think it was Imperfect Produce, where they deliver to. This one's a little bit different from home meal, so it's just specifically groceries. They are for surplus goods, and for produce, they don't look picture perfect, but they're perfectly fine for use. So those are some of the other ways you can stretch that dollar and fit your food to your budget. Save the food. When I was putting this presentation together, I found, and really has some excellent storage tips, how to use your leftovers, and based on that, making basic meal plan shopping lists. So check that out. It's a free resource. There's fabulous additional details on there, but I really like how they teach you how to take foods as you're cooking that you're not quite sure what to do with, and then you can make something else out of it, right? Really kind of using every little bit, and again, stretching that dollar and avoiding food waste. So next thing is, once you get the goods in, where, in order to prepare, cook every day, and have the means to know when you need to restock, what items you need, and then just keeping a household fed. Having an organized kitchen is crucial. I broke down the kitchen into 3 separate general areas. We have pantry. When it comes to the kitchen, that's your dry storage, of course. I don't know about you, but my pantry, the way it is designed, it's an older house, there are some high shelves, and at times it's a little hard to tell between climbing up and down on some step ladders where goods are. So, really think about organizing it in a way where you have different shelves for different categories of food, right? The less used food, things in bulk on the bottom, even things that are heavier would be safer for just lifting and moving around to be on the lower shelves. All of this helps you with when it comes down to cooking and meal prepping. Shopping, it helps you to shop efficiently, what you have, what you need based on any recipes you want to try. Of course, it balances your grocery bill. It keeps you from buying too much and just using foods that, keeping foods on the grocery list that you need for this week or next week, depending on how often you go to a particular store. Can also help you inspire new recipes. And I say that by sometimes where you don't have a particular idea in mind when you are deciding what to prepare for this week or tonight. Also found a really neat resource here called Supercook, where you can enter the items that you have in your pantry or fridge, and they will tell you these are the recipes that you can make with it. And if you're missing anything, it will tell you these are the things you might have to purchase. So you only buy what you need. The rest of kitchen organization is just about, other than shelves, really make sure you both, for goods that you separate from the original package, be sure to label and date so you avoid like spoilage. You want to protect the food that you bring home for using when you need it. I love using little trays, little bins to put the smaller items where you don't have this very messy sometimes, and I've been very guilty of that many times in my life, where you pull something out and you have to pull 18 different things out, and that just makes trying to plan and you're trying to cook at the end of the day just that much more difficult. So having just little bins and trays where you can pull out, where generally categories grains are, when if it's in the fridge, even just shelves where things you can group together, the immediate perishables, fruits and vegetables, etc. Be sure to also, as you're doing this, label and dating, in addition to, maybe you're keeping goods still in the package, is if you're separating from the package and you're moving it to another container, be sure to put it in an airtight container. And that could mean jars that you can clearly see and label. For myself personally, the freezer had for years for me been a mystery of how to use years ago. But my spouse talked me into getting us for our small apartment fridge, where there's not very much freezer space, a separate chest freezer, but in it also is using a food saver. I don't know if there's another brand name for that, but it has helped so much, especially if you buy from bulk stores like seafood, meat, leftovers, even where you have bulk and leftovers, but they don't really come in their own easily resealable packages, and you can protect the food. Buy larger containers, separate them individually. It takes just a little bit of work as soon as you bring it home. If you're buying, large packets of meat and fish, you can reseal it yourself, or even just other goods. And this, I think I've been using the same kind of set of bags for at least 3 years. So it really, the value savings on that, and just being able to protect your food and always has a place for you to label and date. It's just been so much helpful. And of course, it makes inventory that much easier when you're trying to figure out your monthly or Tuesday taco night. Do you have ground turkey? Do you have maybe any kind of a leftover sauce or spaghetti sauce for spaghetti night? You're quickly able to tell in freezer generally, whether you need to purchase more. Now, going from organizing and shopping, we often want to look at recipes that we enjoy these days and think about how to make it healthier, right? Our health goals may change, but there may be old classic and favorites you really enjoy, whether grandma made it or somebody else in the household, but that the original ingredients could be a little bit higher calorie, perhaps. And there's specific health goals like salt you're trying to change so that you can still prepare and serve foods that is close to what you want, that tastes good to you, but without not at a cost of health, right? So it didn't break these down into any specific health categories, but if you're trying to reduce salt or sodium, other than there's herbs and spices, but it's actually very helpful to you add some acid, such as vinegar or citrus and lemon juice to balance that out. So even if you're not adding salt to food, you still have flavor. So it comes down to flavor, right? Sometimes adding some type of tomato, like cooked tomato product to that as well as sweet. I don't know if you've heard the term umami, where you have that taste, and there's certain foods that will give you that. So some dishes, even though they don't have a lot of sodium added, with addition of those three, you notice a lot less that you don't have that salt. Soy sauce is a very specific, common Asian cooking seasoning. Of course, you can use reduced sodium soy sauce, and soy sauce, not reduced sodium, is very, very high in sodium. This one product called coconut liquid aminos is soy-free, gluten-free, and is about a quarter of the amount of standard sodium. So that can be can fit a few needs, so gluten and also soy allergies, depending on what you're trying to avoid there. And rice, I love rice. It's part of my heritage, but when it comes to health conditions, unfortunately, that also comes with that. If you're trying to reduce the amount of starch in your diet for reasons such as diabetes, having a lower starch substitute, such as cauliflower rice, makes a pretty decent substitute. I'm not going to say it's exactly the same. The other types here are the whole grains that have fiber. So if you want to prepare something as a side that's still like a starch side, but you want to be more full, whole grains like quinoa, farro, freekeh, millet, barley, explore those. They may be just a little tiny bit harder to find. Remember that shelf space at the grocery store. Oftentimes there might be either above or below your eye line, but I do see them more and more commonly now, given people are looking for that, right? They do have more fiber, and all the items on here have more protein than rice. So it will be more filling on a smaller portion, which would be helpful if you're trying to achieve a healthy weight. Pasta, there's so many different kinds of pasta now, other than like the standard pasta, lentil. Generally, they're made from some type of legume. I have tried the cauliflower pasta myself. I think that they all have their own uses depending on what you're trying to do with it. Some of them are better with hot food. Some of them is better with like a cold pasta dish you're trying to substitute. But it's about increasing dietary fiber. Potatoes, mashed cauliflower makes to me an excellent substitute for that. Parsnips, which I tried very recently from a recipe I hadn't tried before, was quite delicious. It's still a little bit of a starchier, but as a vegetable, but it has more fiber. So try that out next time. And things that you might already have heard already, very popular with other methods. If you have recipes that are using mayonnaise or cream, like heavy cream, having a tub of unfat plain Greek yogurt, there's so many things you can do with it, but especially for recipes asking for that. And it makes some really good substitutes, significantly less saturated fat. Otherwise, if it has cream in it, reduced fat sour cream in a smaller portion is also will also be a good replacement for that. Some of the little less known replacements for, if you were baking, you're really trying to cut down on butter and the oil that's used in the recipe. Applesauce or mashed fruit. This is more for baking in the holidays. Perhaps you're trying to just create lower calorie alternatives. They make a really good replacement for that. You probably still need to use some, but significantly less. So you check out recipes that have those replacements. And if you're trying to make your own dressing, I have tried this recently. This sounds like a funny word, the aquafaba. I may not be pronouncing this correctly, but the liquid from chickpeas, cooked chickpeas or a can, because the way that it can be used as a thickener and an emulsifier. So if you're trying to make an oil-free dressing, give that a try next time you open a can of chickpeas, or if you're cooking it, save a little bit. It's got this kind of gooey consistency. Last but not least, something a little more commonly, but always good to do is if you're trying to cut back on perhaps you're trying not to eat red meats or eat less of it. Replacing ground beef with ground turkey breast, chicken breast, or can be an excellent substitute for most recipes. Okay. So with all of that said, I think one of the questions last month came up on this was about the other way. If you given all the other tools and suggestions, sometimes time gets in the way. So if you have you're trying to save a few of those steps, the options to use home delivery meals may be for you. So I'm going to break down why that may be, the pros and cons between using the services, show you the ones that are out there that are currently popular, and some helpful tips if you do decide to start a subscription or try them out. Saving time. So grocery shopping part is done, and some of the prep for some services will be done as well. But also, if you're trying to think of recipes when you use subscription services, it's decided for you. There's choices you have to make week to week, but it reduces that decision fatigue, right? It helps with portion control if you are trying to have more portion control in your day. Usually serving sizes are specific and moderate, or if you're looking to improve your health with specific goals, meal service, home delivery meal services will, most of them, if not most of them, will provide the nutrition facts. And you get to try new recipes, of course. Those are the pros and the benefits. The cons is, of course, the cost can be a little bit higher per serving if breaking down that bulk unit cost. The portion sizes can be small depending on your needs for some, right? Sometimes ingredient quality, because someone is doing the shopping for you and packing, can be a little bit of an issue depending on the service. And if you worry about sustainability, there is more packaging, but I mean, for the services that I use, they try hard to make everything recyclable, which I know has its limits. Really quickly, ready to eat breaks down to two different categories. We have the ready to eat meals where it's delivered to you and you just need to heat it. They're generally prepared fresh and delivered chilled. Most of them are delivered chilled. Some of these services you can choose for frozen, but most are intended to be consumed within the week. They are customizable by popular plans like vegetarian, pescatarian, dairy-free. So, the cost of the ready-to-eat meals are generally a little bit more compared to, well, definitely cost per unit is going to be more compared to groceries, right? Because they have all the other labor costs and storage and transportation. But if it's within your budget, can be an excellent way to still reduce that takeout, dine out, and still have good control over what you serve you and your family at home. There are some ready-to-eat meals where there's therapeutic diets. If you have a family member eating diabetic or low sodium, heart healthy, a couple of the services listed here offer those we call therapeutic meals. And a few for disabled the elderly may be eligible for free reduced cost meals through those three there. You do have to, of course, apply, but they provide therapeutics as well. And meal kits, last but not least, everything's pre-portioned for you, specific restaurants instructions. They're broken down into popular diets like low carb, reduced calorie, high protein is even GLP diets. And typically the time for preparation does vary. Serving sizes are between 2 to 4, some are family size, but and they are very customizable. If you do use a meal service to maximize and ensure you get the foods you need, be sure to rate your meals and recipes when you finish cooking them. Make sure to set weekly reminders so that you and your household perhaps could all join in making some selections. Manage your delivery schedule. So if you're out of town or you're not, maybe there's other reasons in your schedule where you're not able to actually be at home to even cook, you can pause or adjust. And they all provide a recipe card, so save some for ones that you feel like you can make yourself later. So now with that, everything we've heard today, I'm going to ask this question: what will you implement from today to cook more meals at home? Oops, that one is, oh yeah. Substitute ingredients for health. Okay. Understand. Interesting. So, interesting results. Well, I'm glad that cooking food, what you have in your kitchen, and substitution ingredients for health, you were able to learn more about that today. And now, I want to thank you for coming to the webinar, and time for any questions from the audience.
Great presentation, Shirley. And now I'm ready to head to the grocery store and organize my kitchen with confidence. So we appreciate that. We're ready for the Q&A to start the portion of the webinar. So I'm going to go over some of the questions that I see being asked. You mentioned kitchen organization can inspire your new recipes. Do you have any websites that you recommend for inspiration for creating balanced meals as well?
Yes, one of the resources I mentioned earlier, if you want to pull from your pantry, is Supercook is a great resource. There's also one uh, I've used a number of times called Spend with Pennies, and there is a separate category for lighter meals, budget meals where uh, you make balanced choices. Other ones include, eatingwell.com. Eating Well and Skinny Taste are also some favorites. They all include healthy, balanced recipes uh, that provide nutrition facts, and many of them are reviewed and written by other dietitians.
And then also, if you happen to wander down the processed food aisles, how can you identify healthy options while shopping?
Um, Healthy options while shopping. Uh, as mentioned earlier, shopping the perimeter is a good place to start. That one's a little bit of a tougher one in a sense. Going in with the plan that you have goals for, using the My Plate guide uh, to guide you when you are planning the meals. It starts there and bringing that list with you to the store. But if you didn't get a chance to going with protein, vegetables, and produce and whole grains, those I know this sounds like the basics, but that's where you can start from as well.
Okay. And then how do you recommend, I know you had mentioned a lot of options like with the frozen options, like the frozen cauliflower rice. Sometimes it looks like people are having hard times finding it. What's a good grocery store to look for that that's quick and easy to find?
Ah, Cauliflower rice, for example, or many different kinds of cauliflower products. They're frozen, so they're always now in the freezer section, but they will actually be in the frozen vegetable section, if that's not obvious. But other replacement items, cauliflower pasta, they tend to be what I've noticed in the stores a little bit on the higher shelf. Again, it's about product placement. They want the consumer, which is you, to where your eye line is. So adult height shelves tend to be products they place where they want to sell more. So, it can be a little bit more sometimes difficult to find, but Sprouts, Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, they all have those options, but also smaller neighborhood grocery stores, produce stores have those as well. They have a lot of grains already in their dry goods, often at a better price.
And then what do you think about sustainable meat delivery service that you mentioned a few, like Butcher Box or Good Chops?
Uh, I, I actually had that. I was going to talk about that on the slide, and I reviewed several of them. Ultimately, I found the price per unit for things like ButcherBox not significantly different from, say, going to Costco or buying just bigger packages of food. It was very, very little difference. I was hoping for, especially for the seafood, uh, better price, but I didn't find that to be a big difference when you broke it down by pound. So decided to take that off of the budget. But if you are if you like the convenience of those services, being sent to your house, then then it's an option.
Okay, great. And then also you had mentioned coconut aminos, like for the swap for soy sauce. Besides just being soy free and gluten free, are there any other benefits to it?
They are. I mean, it is. They are. It is much lower in sodium. That one product I checked compared to like standard regular soy, it's about either 20 or 25%.
Well, a big thank you to our speaker, Shirley, for the engaging talk. As a reminder, the recording will be posted next week at the Stanford Health Library under lectures and events. And enter also the Stanford Lifestyle and Weight Management Clinic. You'll have a little section under that. We look forward to seeing you next month on July 16th for our next webinar on Hydration Nation. As a reminder, our webinars occur the third Wednesday of every month from 5 to 5:45. And we can't wait to see you. So thank you guys for coming today, and we look forward to seeing you next month.
Thank you. Bye.